welcome each one of you all for this event because it's a very important event we felt, especially keeping in mind some of the accidents that have taken place recently, and also a formal session to address some of the issues that we would like to place. To start with, I would like to welcome our keynote speaker, Shivakumar sir, for coming here. Thank you, sir. Then I move on to our chairman, Mr. Sudhakar Rao. He's the chairman of Public Affairs Center. I then move on to Mr. Guru Charan, who's the director of Public Affairs Center, and Dr. Ajay Singh, who's been our, shall I say, our guru, our mentor, our guide for getting the session going. Thank you so much, sir. So without much ado, I would... Yes, I'm sorry. Sorry, Cherian. Yes. And George Cherian, who's come all the way from Jaipur, along with his colleague Nalin, not the Nalin, Madhu, and also Mr. Nalin from Delhi has come for the session. Thank you so much. I didn't want to make it too formal, the introduction, because each one of you all are pretty well known. But I would like to start the session by welcoming our chairman, Mr. Sudhakar Rao, to provide the introductory remarks. Sir.
So, a very good morning to all of you. And I will actually, since we have a technical panel later in the day, which is headed by Ajay and several learned motor vehicle act experts, I'll keep my comments a little personal in a manner of speaking. First and foremost, I must tell Kurian and his team here that I met Dr. Pradeep Mehta long years ago along with Jagdish Bhagwati. Since then, he and I have occasionally met on different forums. And I think Cuts International is doing a great job in being a forum for public debate on public policy. It started off with trade matters and IPR matters, and is now gone on to public policy at all levels. It's a great platform for intellectuals, academicians, civil servants, and policymakers to come together. And while I have not been in touch with Mr. Mehta or Arvind Mayaram for that matter, I keep reading whatever they put on the online. So, Mr. Kurian, do convey our greetings to both Mr. Mehta and to Arvind. Is still the chairman, right? Okay. A word about PAF and PAC. Another legendary gentleman called Dr. Samuel Paul, who was director of the Indian Institute of Management, and though possibly wedded more in his professional career to the corporate sector, recognized the importance of public policy, and on retirement started the Public Affairs Center, of which PAF is an integral part in a manner of speaking, because the PAF Public Affairs Foundation, which is organizing this program, was built up by him in order to propagate and promote the various public policy tools and instruments that PAC would develop. In this context, you must have heard of the iconic citizen report card, which sort of evaluates how various public agencies perform their duties and what the citizens think of their performance. Later, PAC has also had the PAI reports, which sort of evaluates state governments on the basis of their performance, which is now gathering a lot of prominence and importance as something for states to act upon. So today it seems like a no-brainer to me that what Guru Sharan, the director of PAC, I suppose managed, which is bringing Cuts and PAC together, because we are both dedicated to the cause of public policy and its better implementation. And I would like to use this forum to suggest that we should look at more collaboration in this area between the two organizations in the days to come. Having said that, I must also point out that my executive director, very understandably, thinking that I have no knowledge on this subject that we are discussing, has allocated all of 2.5 minutes for my talk. Okay. So I thought maybe this is a good opportunity for me to be a little immodest about myself and to tell you all, which may take you by surprise, particularly Ajay too, that in 2011 I was the national chairman for the task force, chairman for a national task force on road safety. This came a little after Mr. S. Sundar's phenomenal work, which was actually the seed for the 2019 Amendment Act. And Dr. Sundar, I think we lost him last year, if I'm not mistaken. A wonderful human being who was post-retirement, was working with Terry. He had submitted a committee on recommended amendments to the Motor Vehicle Acts 1988. When it went to the Parliament, some issues had come up with some specific aspects of the Act, and the Parliament wanted a review and a reconsideration of those. By Parliament, I mean the standing committee there. And this task force was constituted, and we had several meetings. It had a lot of experts, one of whom was really well known, Dinesh Sharma, I think. Dinesh Mohan, who also, I think we lost to COVID in the last 1 or 2 years. And the committee then disbanded. In fact, never being too fond of promoting the government's cause, I had said that what Sundar had said was more than adequate and that the department and the ministry should go by that. Be that as it may, so that was the beginning. And you will notice that there have been several amendments to the Motor Vehicles Act. I think it started off in 1914, I think was the first formal act. So we are more than a century into Motor Vehicles Act, and the very first act even defined motor vehicles as anything which is driven by motor power, either internally or externally. And it sort of rules out most of the cars that we used to have those days, which used to be driven by young men like me pushing those cars to start at least. But thereafter, there have been several amendments for the simple reason that the ecology of motor vehicles, the surroundings of motor vehicles change very rapidly. And in the recent years, as we have progressed, as we have developed faster than what we had in the past, these factors which are the basis for amendments have increased. Thus, the number of motor vehicles on roads have increased phenomenally, more than 100%. I think the figure is 131 or something in the last 1 or 2 years itself. Road accidents today, in fact, the Honorable Minister, in fact, mentioned that road accidents perhaps are a matter of greater concern than COVID deaths, because India has the unique distinction of having the maximum number of road accidents and deaths in the world, including more than China. We seem to be beating them on two fronts, population and motor accidents. A major change has come in terms of our road systems. National highways, state highways are now increasing at a very, very rapid pace, which was not experienced in the past. That has its own problems of enforcement. Apart from that, the mode of transport, public transport has changed. Aggregators have come into the taxi business, and they have changed how the cab services, the taxi business works in a completely different manner. So there are various reasons why the 2019 amendment was necessary, and it started off, as I said, with the 2011 first report given by Mr. Sundar. In this context, I would like to bring in one more personal note, which is that a little around the time after my task force finished, a young man called Piyush Tiwari came to see me through a mutual friend in Bangalore, and he basically requested for my support and some opinion on what he was planning to do. And he wanted access and meetings with some of the policymakers on the subject, then policymakers. And he had a traumatic experience. I think his cousin or his nephew or somebody was dying on the roads of close by Jaipur, if I'm not mistaken, was actually immensely treatable and savable, if I may use these two words, whether they are correct in English, I don't know, but was left to die on the roadside because nobody was willing to take that accident hit man to the hospital. And he died bleeding on the road. And I think that traumatized Piyush so much that he was that time thinking of starting a movement in which the Good Samaritan would not have to be punished for doing something good, like being called to the court 10 times every 2 months and having to be a witness and being contradicted by somebody else, by the insurance people and so on and so forth. And so he started something called, I think, Save a Life Foundation or Save a Soul Foundation, where the case was made for a Good Samaritan policy. And it's be of interest. I mean, it just shows how if some individuals take serious effort at impacting social thinking and public policy, that was one of the reasons for the amendment, and the Good Samaritan policy is part and parcel of the new Motor Vehicles Act. Let me now, so as I said, a technical committee, I'm sure, is going to discuss all this, and Dr. Ajay Singh, who along with me were in, he and I were together in Shivamogga when I was the collector and he was the SP. When I was Home Secretary of the state, he was the Commissioner for Police, Bangalore City. And I recall he took a very keen interest in traffic matters even then. So you can't have a better man to conduct and run your technical panel discussions later in the afternoon. A word or two about the Motor Vehicles Act itself. It was, I think, it was Einstein who said that nothing is more destructive of a government's personality or of the government and its laws than laws that cannot be implemented. Of course, he didn't say it in this context, but he said it in some other laws in his time regarding science and technology. But the point still remains. You know, we have so many laws being passed with good intent, noble thoughts, noble outcomes, but none of them end up that way. And I think recently, and Guru, you can correct me if that's good, but recently I think the Supreme Court had passed some very stern comments about the manner in which law is being framed and how casually it is being framed. But today's agenda obviously doesn't include commenting on the Act itself, and I think it's a well-drafted Amendment Act. There are a few inconsistencies. Some of the penalties seem very somewhat irrational to the kind of offenses that are being talked about. But the important thing is implementing or enforcing this amendment. And this is where today's meeting gathers importance. And this is where what CUTS and the Public Policy Center would be interested to see how a law can be best implemented. The enforcers or the regulators are working under very difficult circumstances. The ratio of traffic police men and women to the road using population in India is pathetically low. The roads are in a bad condition. I am also involved with a company. I'm not trying to push that company, so I won't name it, which is doing excellent work, building excellent roads. And I know how much time we sitting on the board spend on road safety, road engineering, ensuring that the road is of the highest quality. Unfortunately, not everybody pays that much attention. So road engineering is a serious lacuna in the Indian systems, particularly in the governmental system. And so you have roads which don't factor in the question of safety, accidents. And even if you do build roads, if not the highway, but at least within the city, you have the footwalks completely occupied by men and women who are selling their wares. So the pedestrian is forced to walk on the road. The roads are full of potholes. I think only yesterday there was one more death, or pothole death in some place which was covered on the TV. So our infrastructure, road infrastructure, our personnel are inadequate, road infrastructure is inadequate. On top of it, unfortunately, we don't have much respect for the law. Those entitled jump queues, jump lights, some of them now want to be treated on par with ambulances so that they can go through toll gates without having to wait because they are very busy doing public service. May not be in the legislature buildings, but anyway. And the second thing is the enormous dichotomy between urban India and rural India in this matter. You will be surprised to know that there are more accidents and more deaths which take place in rural India than in urban India. And partly because infrastructure in rural India is totally inadequate. I mean, there's no question of traffic lights, there's no question of, the variety of vehicles there, unfortunately, is even more mixed. And of course, the national highway goes through rural areas, and that also accounts for a large number of accidents. In other words, there is a great need for training among all stakeholders, in particular those who use roads, whether as motorists or as pedestrians. Training and awareness. There is a great need to strengthen the enforcement personnel. In fact, irony is that this huge fines and penalties that have now been shown in the Act, while the idea is to deter these violations from happening, it should not lead to that inevitable consequence of, unfortunately, corruption in the enforcers becoming more, because now there is a greater incentive to avoid these penalties and fines. So, training and sensitizing those who are enforcing these laws to ensure that it is enforced uniformly, and so on. There are a large number of issues. There are a myriad of issues. And on top of it, I think we need to recognize the fact that this Amendment Act is, if I'm not mistaken, it's a model act. I think it's to be adopted by various state governments, and it is the state which has to implement it. In that context, I think already some of the states have responded in a lukewarm manner to this, suggesting some changes, refusing to use the new fine system. So there is need to carry all the state governments together with the central government in terms of enforcing and realizing the objectives of this new act. And the act also promises a national transport policy, I think, which is still in the making, which hopefully will ensure that the pressure on the roads will come down. And finally, a national road safety board, I think, which has it been constituted? I think recently there was some news, but that needs to be constituted, and its recommendations and jurisdiction accepted by all the enforcing states. But be that as it may, as I said, there are a large number of issues to be discussed, and we have a very fine panel to discuss that. So I'll end my remarks at this stage, and I look forward to a morning and the next few hours of some very interesting, illuminating, and educative discussions. Thank you very much, and welcome once again to this forum.